Hello students, welcome to the part 3 of absorption by roots. In today's lecture we are going to learn about the osmotic pressure. In the previous lecture we have completed this tonicity part. We have completed the different types of solution, that is iso, hypo and hypertonic. In today's lecture we are going to complete about the osmotic pressure, experiments and many more concepts related to absorption by roots. So let's start with the lecture. Okay, what do you mean by osmotic pressure? Osmotic pressure of a solution is a measure of its tendency to take in water by osmosis. Suppose, let's take an example to understand in a more better way. If suppose I take a wetting machine and I am going to keep this is in a tilted position and I am going to place some books on it. Okay, see, this is in a tilted position. If suppose I wanted to know the weight of these books, what we are going to do, we are going to exert the equal amount of weight on both the side so that it comes at an equilibrium level. Like this is the book and I am going to put some weight. So at a particular period of a time, when they both of them becomes equal, so I can know the weight of this books. So same like that, osmosis stops after a certain period of a time. See, let's understand with the help of this diagram. See, what does this diagram shows? See, this is a A1 and this is B. This is a beaker. Inside this beaker it is filled with water, and inside this Thistell funnel it is filled with the sucrose solution, and this is a membrane which we have covered in the previous lectures. So what is happening? These water molecules are moving inside this Thistell funnel, and because of this the water level or the solution level inside this Thistell funnel got raised. But if suppose if we apply the pressure, as we can see in this B part, if we can apply the pressure, so what is going to happen? The water level, the solution level will decrease. Okay, why it is going to get decrease? Because the water molecule which is present inside this Thistell funnel is going to move out. So this I am showing by the red arrows. So this is the osmotic pressure. So this shows that inside the plants the osmosis does not occurs continuously. It stops up at a point where the level of solution equals the osmotic pressure. So osmotic pressure means nothing but the minimum amount of pressure required the solute to prevent the entry of the solvent, means पानी को अंदर आने से रोकना. Now we are going to move to the next part, that is the active transport. Okay, so what we are going to learn in the active transport? See, active transport is a passage of a substances from the lower to higher. In the previous lectures we have completed about the osmosis and diffusion. Inside this osmosis and diffusion, what we have studied, कि this too helps from the higher concentration to lower concentration. They helps the substance from the higher concentration to the lower concentration. But the active transport works in a different way. It moves from the lower to the higher. Means this osmosis and diffusion shows a passive nature. Why it shows a passive nature? Because it does not use any energy molecules, and we know this energy molecule, we have already studied this in 9th standard. But in the case of the active transport, we are going to use an energy that is ATP. What do you mean by ATP? That is the adenosine triphosphate. we are going to use this active transport. Let's understand this concept with an example. See, this is a root hair cell. This is a root hair cell. This brown color portion indicates the soil. Okay, and this pinkish color nature indicates the minerals. Okay, so we have identified the location, and this is the root hair cells which is present in the inside the soil. So I'm going to make an line out here, so it will help you to know more perfectly. If you are going to see inside this hair cell, root hair cells, there are more of the minerals inside. Okay, more of the minerals inside, and the less amount of water. So this means this root hair cells is said to be hypertonic in nature. It is said to be hypertonic in nature. What does hypertonic means? More amount of solute and less amount of water. Means minerals are more inside this, but there is a less amount of water. What does osmosis teach us? Osmosis says movement from the higher concentration to the lower concentration. See, this is the soil and this is the minerals, and there is the water also. There is water also here. Okay, here it is filled with the water also. So what is going to happen? This water will tends to move in. This water will tends to move in. Why it is going to move in? Because here inside this root hair cell there are more of minerals and less water level. And what does osmosis teaches us? Osmosis teaches us that we are going to move from more region. We are going to move from more to the region of lower concentration. Okay, so this is the soil which is surrounded by some minerals and more amount of water. The water is going to move inside this part. This arrow indicates that the water and the minerals are moving inside this. Okay, so because of this, the concentration inside this part becomes diluted, because we are going to take the water in, and when we are going to take the water in, so it is going to exert a pressure. Okay, it is going to exert a lot of pressure. So that pressure is called root pressure. This pressure is called root pressure. This root pressure will help the water molecules to enter into the xylem. Like this is a typical root hair cell. Okay, and this see, I'm going to help you out. See, this part is a root hair cell. This is called epidermis. This region is called cortex region. This is called endodermis. Now we are going to move toward the stem region. This center part is called xylem. It is called xylem. Okay, so what is going to happen when the water moves inside this root hair? Okay, so more and more water molecules enter into this cortex region. Okay, when these cells get full, it transfer the water to the next cell. When this cell get full, it transfer the water to the next. Okay, when these cells get fully turgid, means fully swelled up like this, it moves into a region of a endodermis where they are going to take in the water and going to send to the xylem. What is the function of the xylem? The function of the xylem is to transport water and mineral salts to the plant. Okay, where the root pressure is going to occur? It is going to occur in the cortex region, because here is the region where the cells are going to get full and it is going to force the water to move to the next neighboring cells, and because of this, the cells get swelled and it will cause a pressure and the water will enter into the xylem vessels, and because of this the plants will get fully nourished. Now let's understand the concept of turgidity and flaccidity. What do you mean by turgid condition and what do you mean by flaccid condition? Before making you understand turgidity and flaccidity, first understand the types of pressure. There are two types of a pressure which is going to occur inside the plant. First one, two types of pressure. The first one is called turgor pressure. As the space is insufficient, so I'm going to help with writing in a shortcut, that is TP. TP stands for turgor pressure. And the second force is called wall pressure. There are two types of a pressure which is going to occur. Let's understand with the simple part. See, what do you mean by turgor pressure? Suppose this is a cell, okay, and inside this cell there is a nucleus. If the pressure exerted by the cell contained on the cell wall, so we have already studied about the cell wall, okay, the outer part is called the cell wall, then it is called the turgor pressure, TP. Okay, now the next type of pressure, that is the wall pressure. What happens in the wall pressure is, suppose this is a cell and this is a nucleus. If the pressure is exerted by cell wall on the content, like if suppose a pressure like this is exerting the pressure outward and this is exerting the pressure inward. Okay, in both of the cases, if you are going to see, the material which is present inside this cell is exerting pressure. Okay, here the cell content is facing up this pressure. Both are the reverse cases. What happens in both the cases? See, in turgidity condition, it is a state of a cell in which the cell cannot accommodate more water. See, suppose this is a cell which is fully of water. It won't be able to take in more water. This condition would be called as the turgidity. Turgid means getting swelled up. Okay, the cell won't be able to take much of the water. Why it is not going to take much of the water? Because here the turgor pressure is more than the wall pressure. Okay, let's understand the second condition, that is the flaccidity. What happens in the flaccidity? It is a condition in which the cell content is shrunken and the cell is not tight. Suppose I am going to take a shriveled shell like this and a nucleus. Okay, this is called the flaccid condition. Here the wall pressure is more than the turgor pressure. Okay, here the wall pressure is more than the Turgor pressure. So because of this, the size of the cell get shrinked. Okay, the size of the cell get shrink. If suppose I take in condition, if suppose I takes an condition, if Turgor pressure exceeds the wall pressure, if Turgor pressure exceeds the wall pressure in much way, okay, if Turgor pressure exceeds the wall pressure in much way, so what is going to happen? The cell is going to get burst. The cell is going to get burst. So when does the turgid condition becomes? Turgid condition becomes when the Turgor pressure is equal to the wall pressure. When both of the pressure are equal, the cell is said to be turgid. That means the water is not going to come in also, and the water is not going to move out also. The cell will become fully of water. So this means a turgidity. But if Turgor pressure exceeds too much than the wall pressure, then the cell will get burst. Okay, this bursting of a cell can only occur in the animal cell. Why? Because you have studied in your 9th standard the outer wall of the animal cell is called cell membrane. Okay, the outer wall, this is called cell membrane. This is highly flexible in nature. This is highly flexible in nature. It means if more Turgor pressure exceeds, okay, if more of the Turgor pressure gets exerted, so what is going to happen? It is going to get worse. This condition is only possible in animal cell. It won't be able, it can't take place in the plant cell. Why? Because if you are going to look at the plant cell, the outer wall is called cell wall. Okay, it has two layers, that is a cell wall and cell membrane. Cell membrane is inside, but the outermost is called cell wall. This is rigid in nature. Rigid means not flexible, very tough. It won't be exerting up the pressure inside this part. The pressure inside this won't exert a lot. Okay, and if it does not exert a lot, the cell will not get burst. Okay, now so we have understood the turgidity and flaccidity conditions. Okay, this is the state of cell. State of cell means it's a part, like state, physical state. Okay, it is a solid, liquid or gas. So same like that, turgidity is a state of a cell only. Is suppose, let's understand now flaccidity in more detail. Suppose this is a cell, and inside this is a nucleus, and there is a vacuole which is full of water, and I am going to place this cell in a beaker which is hypertonic in nature. So what is going to happen when I am going to put this in hypertonic solution? The water inside this vacuole will come out due to endoosmosis. So because of this, the vacuole will start to disappear. Okay, and after some time, if this cell continues to be in the hypertonic solution, so what is going to happen? The cell will start to lose the water from the cytoplasm region also. the water is going to lose from the, see, this was water, this was water, and what happened in this condition? And what happens in this condition? The water inside this part get fully disappeared, okay, and only, and the content inside this cell become less, okay. So when there is a loss of water from the cytoplasm region, okay, when there is a loss of water from the cytoplasm region, this condition is said to be plasmolysis, because flaccidity leads to plasmolysis. What is plasmolysis? It refers to the shrinkage of the cytoplasm, that the withdrawal of the plasma membrane from the cell wall due to the withdrawal of water when they are placed in a hypertonic solution. In the plasmolysis, the cells become flaccid. Now let's understand the reverse condition of plasmolysis. In the last part, we have seen the water inside from the cytoplasm also gets shrinked up, okay. Like this was a cell. Inside this, there was no water. Inside the cell, there was no water. So what happens if I have to revive the cell? If suppose I have to save the cell from getting it died, so what I'm going to do? I'm going to place this cell in a hypotonic solution. So what is going to happen? See, the water will move inside this part, and there will be a condition where the water will start to get appear, okay. Vacuole also will get to appear. This condition is called deplasmolysis. Deplasmolysis is a condition in which the cells can be revived, okay. We can save the cell from getting died. So this was all about plasmolysis and deplasmolysis. Now, uses of turgidity of to plant. So we have understood the word turgidity. Turgidity in easier sense means swelling up, and flaccidity means get shrinking up. Now, uses of turgidity to the plants. It provides turgidity to leaves, prevents wilting, which is observed during the noon time. Let's take an example to understand in more clear way. Suppose bring some coriander leaves. Okay, so you can see these coriander leaves are very much erected because there is a high amount of water inside this coriander leaves. When you bring these coriander leaves from the market at home, what happens is they start getting wilted down like this. So now a question arises, why does this coriander leaves which were there in the market was so erect, and why this coriander leaves when we brought them home got wilted? This is due to the turgidity. When there was a sufficient amount of water inside this, the stem was erected. But when the plant started to lose water, it got wilted. So that is why the turgidity is very essential, because it helps to maintain up the shapes of the leaves, stems and the plants. The second point is it helps mushroom and the seedlings to push upwards through the ground. Suppose this is a soil surface and I'm going to put a seed inside this and I'm going to water it, I'm going to give it sunlight, I'm going to give every condition which is needed for the plants to grow. After few days like around 7 to 8 days, it will start to germinate. Means it is going to push upwards, and after months or so you will see a proper plant got arise due to this seed. So this condition, see this was a seed, this was a germination part, and this was a proper plant. So this condition is also due to the turgidity only, because it helps mushroom and the seedlings to push upward through the ground. Because see, the seed was in the ground, but because of this turgidity pressure we got a perfect plant. So second point also got cleared. Now the third point, that is the opening and the closing of the stomata. During the hot days, okay, plant lose a lot of water during hot days, like during daytime, I mean to say, easy language. The stomata is open, okay, the stomata is open. At the same period of a time, the guard cells are very turgid in nature. These are the guard cells, this and this are the guard cells, which are in the shape of a kidney bean. They are very stiff in nature, so it can allow the exchange of water, minerals to come in and get out, okay. But during night time, what happens? During night time, the water which is present inside this guard cell get loosed up, and due to this the stomata gets closed, and when the stomata get closed, it won't allow any water molecules or any minerals to come in or get out of this. So that is why turgidity is very important, because it helps in the diffusion of water and the minerals. Now the fourth point, that is the turgor pressure helps in the leaves of the mimosa, okay. You have already studied about this part. Mimosa, it's very well known as touch me not plant also. What happens? See, suppose these are the leaves, okay. I'm going to make it big because in order to make you understand, these are the leaves of the mimosa. When suppose a person touches the leaves, what happens? After certain period of a time, this get bit shrinked up like this, okay. This size got shrinked up. If you can see this part, this is the perfect leaf of a mimosa, not a perfect leaf, but then too it's an explanation part. And in this part, if you are going to see, it got closed, okay, it seems to be closed. So mimosa droops when the plant is touched. So turgidity helps this mimosa plants to stay in this condition, okay. Turgidity helps the mimosa plants to stay in this condition. When the mimosa loses its water, it becomes condition, it like this condition. When the mimosa lose the water, it becomes a condition like this. So this condition of mimosa is said to be flaccid in nature, because this got wilted, okay. Like more cases you can see of turgidity. Leaves of insectivorous plants that close to entrap insect. We have studied about the Venus flytrap plant. Flytrap. Suppose this is a Venus flytrap. If suppose any of the insect comes to this part, what happens? The insect which is there on this Venus flytraps get digested, because the leaves, this is the leaf part of the Venus flytrap. This I'm going to give a color. Wait, these are the leaves, okay, and I'm going to paint this green part for you. And suppose I'm drawing an insect part. Like here is an insect who is searching for the nectar. This part is said to be fully turgid, okay, but when this insect comes in the Venus flytrap, they close the leaves part and digest this insect like this. Like this. Okay, this condition is said to be flaccid in nature. Okay, turgidity helps to maintain its erectness, but when an insect comes, it closes the leaves, and because of this, it loses the water. This condition is called flaccid. Okay, so this were the 4 points, and the 5th point is it helps to build up the root pressure in a balsam. This we are going to discuss in detail in a chapter that is a transpiration. As of now, we are going to leave this point. Now, the experiment times. Experiment time. What is the condition? To show that the root absorbs water. Okay, let's understand. First, we are going to take a kind of a test tube, okay, and we are going to put a plant inside this tube, and I'm going to cover this upper surface by oil. Inside this tube, test tube, it is filled with the water, and in this we are going to take a plant that is a balsam plant, and I'm going to name it a container P. Any of the name is fine. Okay, in container Q, what is going to happen? We are going to take a test tube, we are going to fill the water, and on the upper surface it is placed with the oil. No plant is involved in this part, and there should be a perfect sun on the head of this. Okay, there should be a perfect sun. After few hours, the test tube P, okay, this test tube P seems to lose the water. Okay, but this container Q remains same. It haven't lose any water. Why there was a difference in both of the test tube? Because in test tube P, the water has been absorbed by these roots, okay, and due to which the plant took up water and transported to each and every part of the body through the xylem. But as in a container Q, there was no plant, so the water level remains the same, and this was a control setup. Control setup means it was for the distinguish of both the test tube. Okay, control setup means it helps to distinguish between the two test tubes. Now, as we have studied about xylem, water is conducted upward through xylem. Now, this is a test tube, sorry, beaker A, beaker B, and beaker C. So, what we are going to notice, see, in beaker A, there are two plants which have been kept. Okay. So, after some time, what we are going to do, we are going to, in this part, if you are going to see, and in this part, see the center part of this stem has been there. Okay, the center part is there. It means the xylem is present in this part, and in this plant xylem is removed. Xylem got removed. See, here we can see this part. Now let's move to the C part condition. After few hours, what we notice in C, see the leaves of this have been perfectly erected. The leaf of this, of the first part, is perfectly erected. But if you are going to see the leaves of B, see, leaves of B, it is getting drooped down. The word droop down means it is going to lose the water because as the xylem is not present. So this shows that xylem helps to transport up the water. This experiment proves that the xylem helps to take in water. Okay. Now, for a confirmatory test, conduction of water through xylem. Okay, as we can see here, the xylem was present, and here the xylem was not present. Here the xylem was present, and here it was not present. But now we are going to see, does the conduction happens due to xylem only? Does the conduction here is done through the xylem only? Let's understand. See, this is a beaker which is filled with the dye solution, and I am going to place this plant inside this. Okay, inside this part. After 3 to 4 hours, I am going to remove this plant. After 3 to 4 hours, I am going to remove this plant, and I am going to cut in a transverse section. Transverse means the cross section. So I can see so one can easily notice that the leaf, suppose this is a leaf, okay, the veins are fully of red color. See, this was a green plant, right? But if you are going to see these veins, they would seem to be orange or reddish in nature. This shows that the xylem is responsible for the conduction of water inside the plants. Okay, because if we keep in the water, so you won't be able to notice these veins. So that is why we have kept the plant in the dye solution, because dye solution can give the color to these plants, and the veins of this have changed into the dye color solution. The third experiment has been proved. Now let's move to the fourth one. Food from the leaf is conducted downward through phloem in the stem. So this experiment is related to the phloem. The work of the xylem is for the conduction of water, but the work of the phloem is for the conduction of food. This is a A. I took a plant. This is a condition B, in which there is a red dot, red triangle. Okay, we can see this part. And from this, what we are going to do, we are going to remove the phloem part. Where is phloem present in the plant? See, if suppose I am going to draw a stem diagram and I am going to draw a line out here. Okay, this central part is xylem, and this area, which is bluish in nature, is called phloem. Central xylem and the adjacents are called phloem. Okay, understood? See, in this I am going to remove the phloem in condition B. What is going to happen in a condition C? See, where is the place where the plants prepare their food? In the leaves. The upper side of the leaves are perfectly erect if you are going to compare this part. The place from where I have removed this phloem had got swelled up. See this part. I am going to make a box. See this part. It got perfectly swelled up. And because of this, plants got drooped down. This plant part got drooped down, this leaf part. Okay, if you are going to see in any of the condition, here perfect, here also it was perfect, but here if you are going to see, the leaves got drooped down because the phloem has been removed from this, and due to this the food got accumulated in the center part like this. It got accumulated out here, the food got accumulated out here. Okay, what are the forces contributing to the ascent of the sap? So first we should know the meaning of ascent and sap. The word ascent means upwards. Okay, sap means which is filled of water plus mineral salt. Forces, see, so first there is a root pressure. So root pressure we have already discussed. I made this part for you. Okay, this was a proper root hair cell, and this was the cortex region, and when the water gets full inside, it puts the water to the next neighboring cell, and it gives the water to the next neighboring cell. This is called the root pressure. Okay, we have covered this part. Now capillarity. See, the word capillarity. The xylem vessel is capillarity in nature, is like capillary in nature. What do you mean by capillary? Capillary means there is only a small amount of a passage. Okay, as there is a small amount of passage, the water inside this part the water inside this part can exert a lot of pressure, and due to this the water can easily conduct up the water can be easily conducted to each and every part of the plant. Okay, because the narrow the diameter of the xylem, the more the pressure it could exert. This is a transpirational pool. We are going to discuss this transpirational pool in detail in a chapter that is a transpiration. Okay, now the last part, that is the adhesion. What do you mean by adhesion? See, I'm going to draw a diagram for you so that your concepts can get easily cleared up. See, this capillarity leads to adhesion, and there is one more term, that is a cohesion. Cohesion means the water molecules sticks to each other like this. Why this water molecules inside the xylem sticks to each other? So that it can maintain up the inflow of the water in the plants. Okay, so that the plants can get easily survive. There should not be any kind of a deficit of water inside the plants. If there is a deficit amount of water inside the plants would die. So this cohesion means the water molecules sticks to each other. Now we are going to talk about the adhesion. This adhesion means, suppose this is a xylem. See, water to water molecules attachments is called cohesion, and adhesion means the water molecules are attached to the walls also, like this. See, water molecules are attached to the xylem wall. So what is the impact of this adhesion? When the water molecules move up, it sticks to the other water molecules which are attached on this side, that is this. Okay, they attach to this, so it helps to make up a perfect inflow of waters like this. So it is very essential in a long plants, in the big trees like coconut trees and all, this adhesion and cohesion. And the capillarity is very important, because narrow the diameter, greater the pressure it could exert. So this would be the end of the chapter. Thank you, students.